Let's talk about your book, and everybody's talking about the way you describe President Bush. Is he the cockiest guy you've ever met?
En español, el más gallo, el más fregón. It's a compliment in Spanish. In English, it's saying something that was my very first impression when I met him, a very candid impression, and I just think that you don't write a book to please anybody, just to say how you feel, your sentiments, your emotions, your experiences, and that's the book. The book is very, very candid and very explicit, and not only with President Bush, it's President Putin, President Castro, President Cardoso from Brazil, Prime Minister Blair, and so on and on. I think for people it's very important to listen what goes on behind two leaders or behind a summit meeting. I think it's very important for people to see that politicians, presidents, prime ministers are also human beings. And I try to reflect that. So it's very interesting for the reader. I would invite to read the book, because then you get the full picture of what's my relationship with President Bush. I think it's friendly, I think it's been productive, and I think that we both work very, very hard to service our people and promote our nations.
El más gallo, can that also be arrogant?
Well, that's what, on that phrase, some get here. I don't use that word, and it was not my impression that he's arrogant. My impression was that he seems to walk with two watermelons under his arms like this.
Is that confidence or is that arrogance?
Well, that's a way of being, maybe because he's a Texan. And that's what you find in Texas, many of those.
But being a Texan, you think that everybody's a horse rider in Texas, I guess. You say that he's not a very astute horse rider.
And he's not. And he's not. I don't think nothing wrong with that. I mean, many people don't ride horses, and I noticed that when I invited him to see this Palomino, this stallion that I ride in San Cristobal, that I've been riding since I was 2 years old, and I noticed when he tried to touch the horse, so little tremble in his hand. And then I come back to Texas, to his farm, by the way, in a home that is very modest and in a farm where he likes to be, and he dropped the pickup. He didn't see the horses there, or he did not invite me to ride a horse. So that's the expression. So again, I think it's important to speak with the heart, speak what you feel and what you see and you have experienced, and that's why the book is interesting, because it goes like that, all along.
Your impression of the President Bush's biggest weakness?
No, I'm not here to dig in and investigate what his weaknesses are. I can tell you that in our relationship we had only one big difference, which was the case of Iraq. To me, the case of Iraq should have been handled multilaterally through the United Nations, and not unilaterally by the United States. And I think this because through intervening directly, United States is losing respect in many countries in the world. And United States cannot be the police of every country in the world. I think that's the charter and the mission and the mandate of the United Nations.
You told the president that when he called you on the phone, you told him you need to do this unilaterally, and he hung up the phone?
We had many conversations, not only with him, but with most world leaders, the relevant world leaders like President Putin, President Chirac, Prime Minister Schroeder, Prime Minister Blair, President Aznar, President Lagos, Prime Minister Chrétien in Canada. With all of them, I had many conversations, and we tried to build a way out. Once we all determined that there were no arms of mass destruction, that they were never proven that they existed, and trying to respect the United Nations and make the United Nations responsible for carrying on with Iraq. We had many, many very constructive negotiations, discussions, debate among all leaders in trying to come up with a sound solution. Very unfortunately, it was not reached.
Now we're talking about Iran. Should we just stay out of Iran, in your opinion?
I think so. The United Nations should be involved in there. If there is danger there, United Nations should be involved there, and we should make sure that United Nations is responsible for problems that there might exist between nations or within a nation. Yes.
What are people outside this country saying now when they hear that Iran might be next on the list? Here they go again?
Well, not yet, because it has not developed up to that point. But certainly in Latin America, you will find many people that will remember history and learn the many interventions that the United States had in Latin America. And that's why this feeling that subsists there. I think that we can build up a much better world through other means and ways, like using values, like using dialogue, like being prudent, like being committed to development, like being solidaristic, and build up regions of the world like the United Nations of Europe, the European Union. I think that's an example of how 26 or 28 nations today work together, work united,